Alright, for the last video of the year, I wanted to make it special. So I took a look back at all of the videos I made this past year, 2024, and this Star Wars one here was the most watched video. So we're going to talk about Star Wars again today, and hopefully cap off this year with a banger. So I was thinking about the premise of today's theory at 3 a.m. a few days ago, wanting this video to span over all the movies, not just recent Disney Star Wars, and in my drowsy 3 a.m. bout of absolute geniusness, I realized something interesting. An implication that Disney may have unintentionally made canon. So today, let's take a trip down the Skywalker family tree, shall we? Now, this is mainly covering the movies, but we will have some Legends stuff in there too. I'm mainly just more well-versed in the film and animation side of the franchise as of right now. Oh, and this is your obligatory spoiler warning. Oh, and before we get started, it appears we have a sponsor today. Do you ever feel like you need some extra income? Need a new extension of your life, but sick of browsing? Well, try honey. All you need is a few beehives, and you'll be rolling in that sweet, sweet nectar. You see, bees make honey, and then just leave it there in their hives, free for the taking. It's as if the bees are selling their honey at market value, but you follow the cookie trail, waltz into their home, and steal the majority of their product's worth under the guise of a massive discount. Now that's one crazy coupon code. So you're essentially approaching a small business, robbing them blind, and reaping the benefits of their hard labor. What could go wrong? A strategy like that seems almost foolproof. You could get away with that for years without anyone being the wiser. Well, anyone except Markiplier, apparently.
I just don't trust honey. I have a feeling in like a couple years, there's gonna be the great honey conspiracy of like 2022. And I don't know what it is. I'm sure it's fine. And like, I got no problem with like the concept of an app that like clips coupon codes for you. That's great. That sounds great on its surface, but there's some shady shit going on. I can't put my finger upon it.
So put some bees to work and get some honey today. Now, back to the theory. So the Skywalker family tree in the movies begins with Shmi Skywalker, who, through an immaculate conception through the Force, births a son, Mr. Youngling Slayer himself, Anakin Skywalker. There is no father present. Anakin is basically the Jesus of the Star Wars universe. Next, we know in the OT, that's original trilogy for all you non-Star Wars fans here, although I'm not sure why you'd be watching this video this far in if you weren't a Star Wars fan, but if you're here, go watch the movies and come back. But not the Disney trash. Alright, we know in the OT, and we see at the end of episode 3, that Anakin and Padme have 2 kids, Luke and Leia, obviously. And with the sequel trilogy, it's established that Luke does not have any kids, and Leia hooks up with Han, and they have Ben Solo. And that's all we know of the Skywalker family tree. Now, Shmi obviously does marry into the Lars family before her untimely demise, which is where Luke's Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru come into play, but we're looking at the Skywalker bloodline specifically. Like how in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, we barely get info on husbands or wives that don't have the bloodline connection to the Joestars. Also in Legends, Ben is Luke's son, and Han and Leia have 3 kids, Jason, Jaina, and Anakin Solo. But my concern here follows the movies. Okay, now stay with me because here is where things get complicated. It's widely believed that Anakin was brought into the galaxy directly because of Sheev Palpatine and his master, Darth Plagueis the Wise. Palpatine talks about his master in episode 3, you know, the iconic monologue as he's tempting Anakin to the dark side. Palpatine tells Anakin about how Plagueis could manipulate the midichlorians to create and prolong life. But, according to a comic in Star Wars Legends, it was Palpatine himself that manipulated Shmi's womb. Using midichlorians, you sickos. I don't want to think about this sentient ballsack procreating the old-fashioned way. Anyway, from a quick Google search, fans seem to be divided if this is the case or not, and if Palpatine manipulated Shmi's womb directly, or if he and Plagueis were messing around with midichlorians and the Force itself created Anakin to keep the balance. I've seen both. Regardless, Anakin seems to be brought about by Palpatine in some way. which technically makes Palpatine Anakin's father.
I am your father.
So if Palpatine is Anakin's father, that means that Luke and Leia are his grandkids, which makes Ben Solo his great-grandson. Now that's all fine. But in movie canon, Rey is canonically Palpatine's granddaughter. And Disney had the whole cringe Reylo ship thing going on, having odd sexual tension between the two and resulting in a kiss. So I guess incest just happens in the Skywalker bloodline? Like if I had a nickel for every time two related people in Star Wars, in the Skywalker bloodline, kissed in a questionably platonic way, I'd have a concerning amount of nickels. So if this trend continues, the Skywalkers are basically the Star Wars Habsburgs. But leave your thoughts and theories in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.